let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akugha as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akugha. Today's package begins with a report on how the Presidential Amnesty Program has fared 11 years after it was introduced by the government of late President Umaru Yar'Adua to douse tension in the Niger Delta and promote socio-economic development in the region. Our second report is a follow-up on the controversy trailing the implementation of the Presidential Artisanal Gold Mining Development Initiative. Next in our lineup is a report on the federal government's reforms in the oil and gas industry, as well as environmental concerns in the exploration and exploitation of crude oil in the Niger Delta. We will, in the course of the program, appraise the level of transparency achieved for the NDDC by its supervising Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. And finally, into this package is a special report on the campaign for police reforms, which is being championed by several youth groups in the Niger Delta and their counterparts in the geopolitical zones of the country. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, determined to make a difference.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. Some Niger Delta activists have demanded an inquest into alleged cases of corruption preferred against 3 previous coordinators of the Presidential Amnesty Program. This follows a recent declaration by interim coordinator of the program, Colonel Milan Dikio, retired, that the Niger Delta peace deal had lost focus on account of massive corruption in the system. Correspondent Ekanami Efuri has the report.
Shortly after a recent meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in the company of National Security Advisor Babagana Monguno, Dikio told State House correspondents that the Presidential Amnesty Program had lost focus due to mismanagement and misappropriation of funds by successive administrations.
Regrettably, the program has now been running for 11 years without the desired benefits delivered to the ex-agitators. Rather, the ex-agitator database was dishonestly corrupted and several contracts were awarded in total disregard of need and procurement processes. Consequently, as of today, the program is currently owing contractors the sum of 71 billion 411 million 646,210 naira 68 kobo.
Retired Colonel Milan Dikio was in August this year appointed interim coordinator of the Presidential Amnesty Program following the sack of his predecessor in office, Professor Charles Dokubo, who was accused of engaging in acts of corruption and abuse of office by several groups in the Niger Delta. Under Dokubo's watch as interim coordinator, the Vocational Training Center of the Presidential Amnesty Office in KAIAMA, Bayelsa State, was invaded by hoodlums on 14 February 2019. After Dokubo's suspension, President Buhari in March 2019 set up a panel to investigate the ugly incident at KAIAMA. With no word from the investigative panel headed by President Buhari's National Security Advisor in the last 18 months, most Niger Deltans fear that the alleged malfeasance is about to be swept under the carpet.
Those who looted the Amnesty Office in Bayelsa needs to be prosecuted, arrested, and put in jail. If it calls for as far as going to get the former coordinator to be prosecuted, so be it. We must change the way we look at things in this country. The narrative cannot remain the same all the time.
Unfortunately, government has paid lip service to the entire looting of that vocational center because government has what it takes it had all what it takes to be able to arrest all those who are involved. Government cannot tell us that they do not know those that looted the vocational center.
The Presidential Amnesty Program was introduced by late President Umaru Yar'Adua after proclaiming an unconditional pardon for ex-militants whose activities had crippled oil production in Nigeria between 2007 and 2009. Most Niger Deltans are also worried that the program, which was designed to empower repentant militants and transform the largely backward Niger Delta region, has been implemented beyond its terminal date of 2015. While they agree with the new amnesty boss that endemic corruption is largely responsible for the lackluster performance of the Presidential Amnesty Program, concerned Niger Deltans have also enjoined him to leave above board and draw the curtain on the program in the shortest time possible.
The amnesty program was considered as a temporary measure, and it has a timeline, and that timeline long overdue. Actually, but I think that why it subsists was because it became an institution or a mechanism for dispensing of political patronage, and that is not what it ought to be.
He has to ensure that the amnesty program gets a new life.
The Presidential Amnesty Program is described as the most expensive peace-building initiative to have been implemented anywhere in the world since its introduction in 2009. It is for this reason that Niger Deltans are calling on the federal government to account for the huge funds that have been sunk into a project that has failed to enthrone lasting peace in the beleaguered Niger Delta region over the last 11 years.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Deputy Senate President OVIE OMO-AGEGE has spoken up against a recent gold transaction between ZAMFARA state government and the Central Bank of Nigeria, describing it as illegal and insensitive to the plight of largely backward oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta. Senator OMO-AGEGE, the highest political office holder from the Niger Delta, while speaking during Senate plenary last week, also called for urgent efforts to address widespread unemployment and poverty in the Niger Delta. Correspondent Chika Bodozie completes the story.
The federal government in 2019 launched the Presidential Artisanal Gold Mining Development Initiative to encourage local participation in the refining of gold as an alternative source of revenue for Nigeria. The initiative was designed to check gold theft, provide employment and create wealth in the country's gold belt. ZAMFARA State, under the administration of Governor Bello Matawalle, immediately took advantage of the Presidential Gold Mining Initiative and encouraged large-scale gold production. In July this year, President Buhari took delivery of the first locally refined gold bars from the government of ZAMFARA State, which was sold to the Central Bank of Nigeria for about 5 billion naira. At a recent press conference in Gusau, Governor Matawalle hinted that he was taking a step further to establish a gold reserve for ZAMFARA State.
For a start, we have purchased 31 kilograms, not grams, kilograms of gold, only mined and refined by our artisanal miners. We will subsequently continue to buy gold from our local miners so as to gradually improve the reserve. The precious metal will be deposited in a designated bank.
Senator OMO-AGEGE, who recently drew the attention of the gold transaction between the government of ZAMFARA State and the Central Bank of Nigeria, described it as illegal and insensitive to the plight of other economic zones in the country, particularly the Niger Delta, which produces crude oil that has served as Nigeria's economic mainstay for several decades.
Not too long ago, we saw the governor of ZAMFARA State come before the CBN to present a gold bar worth close to about 5 billion naira. People are beginning to wonder who owns this gold, that is being sold to the CBN. Because they know that they don't sell oil in Delta State. They don't sell oil in any of the Niger Delta states, So they're wondering why a governor of a state will be selling a gold bar from ZAMFARA to the CBN. We believe that whatever revenue that ought to come from that transaction belongs to the entire country.
Senator OMO-AGEGE, in his submission during Senate plenary, also expressed concern over the state of underdevelopment in the Niger Delta, where unemployment and poverty have been on the increase over the years.
It's very, very important that the youths in these communities are engaged. And the only way they can be engaged, Mr. President, is for these oil companies, Mr. President. The oil companies who explore oil in these communities, in the Niger Delta. It is very, very important, Mr. President, that they help in creating jobs for these people. And the only way they can do that, Mr. President, is to have their headquarters, their business operations located within the Niger Delta.
The implementation of the Presidential Artisanal Gold Mining Development Initiative, an otherwise laudable economic policy, is generally viewed as skewed in favor of the country's gold belt. Prior to Senator OMO-AGEGE's submission on the ZAMFARA gold purchase, the move to vest the mining of gold in state governments had been condemned by lawyers and human rights activists as a violation of Sections 1 and 2 of the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act 2007, which gives the federal government control over all mineral resources in the country. For activists in the Niger Delta, however, the federal government has the moral obligation to extend same goodwill to artisanal crude oil refiners whose operations remain outlawed almost 3 years after the government promised to incorporate them into the mainstream of oil production.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Heritage Bank. Service, performance, respect, integrity, innovation, tenacity, excellence. Heritage Bank, your timeless wealth partner. Looking for irresistible luxury? Welcome to Oak Haven Hotel, located at the heart of GRA Port Harcourt, River State. With a wide array of luxury rooms to offer you exquisite comfort, to the VIP lounge with wireless internet services and a fully packed bar, Oak Haven Hotel also has a dazzling swimming pool, a chill-out area and a massage and wellness spa. For your meetings and events, our conference hall and restaurant Victoria will exceed your expectations. Oak Haven Hotel, comfort you can't afford to miss.
Get to know the future. The future is ITEO.
Saudi-based Niger Delta-born petroleum engineer Dr. James ARUKHE has underscored the need for environmental sustainability in the production of oil and gas in the Niger Delta. In a recent chat with Inside the Niger Delta, Dr. ARUKHE, who currently works for Saudi Aramco, the world's most profitable company and the national oil company of Saudi Arabia, after many years of work experience in some international companies both in Nigeria and Canada, said it was possible to embark on active oil field development while preserving fragile ecosystems in the Niger Delta as it is obtainable in Saudi Arabia.
In the whole journey of oil prospecting, we have to make the environmental protection an overarching scheme, right from data acquisition, from seismic prospecting, up to drilling, from drilling to the exploitation of the oil and gas. For example, in the fields that I use as case study, we engage the fishermen, we engage the farmers, they become stakeholders. Even the local university, the research institution around, we give them the environmental impact assessment study to undertake, incentivizing their professors, and their students who are doing all these studies almost for nothing. So we create a value chain, around us, so that, for a project that have 50-year lifespan, we are very sure that there's relatively no discontent. And if I show you pictures of areas where we are producing upward of 1 million barrels per day, They look like places you can go on your vacation.
Dr. ARUKHE was worried that, unlike ARAMCO, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) is not profitable and has been unable to operate the country's refineries at optimal capacity. He also expressed concern over ineffective and inefficient administration of the oil and gas industry. He therefore stressed the need to expedite action and the passage into law of the Petroleum Industry Bill, which seeks to transform operations of the oil and gas industry in Nigeria.
We need to run as a commercially oriented and profit-driven petroleum entity. Not just for the refineries, but also for the other arms of the Nigerian oil and gas industry, which is what the Petroleum Industry Bill seeks to address. So I am very hopeful that upon passage of that bill, the needed transformation for ensuring value addition and internationalization of the petroleum industry in Nigeria will be achieved through creation of efficient and effective governing institutions with clear and separate roles for the industry. As soon as that is done, we'll be able to promote transparency. And I think that we have a very small window of opportunity to save Nigeria the hemorrhage. We've been bleeding. So we need to do it fast and get at par with the world.
The Edo State-born petroleum engineer is the only black person in a league of 30 professionals selected as guest lecturers of the Society of Petroleum Engineers for the year 2020. Consequently, he has been busy giving lectures to several countries on current trends, challenges, and advances in the oil and gas industry. As his own contribution to the promotion of research and development in the teaching and practice of petroleum and chemical engineering in Africa, Dr. ARUKHE has instituted the Petroleum and Chemical Education Society with an endowment fund of about 600 million naira.
I have now a list of preliminary endowments and interventions that will form the pilot stage by which PCES will map out its extension strategy to African universities. And this will include computers to all the petroleum and chemical engineering offering institutions in Nigeria. Nigeria formed me into what I am, and so I have a heart to give back.
In line with his schedule as Distinguished Lecturer of the International Society of Petroleum Engineers, Dr. ARUKHE is expected to visit Nigeria in January of 2021 to share his wealth of experience in the oil and gas industry.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Belema Oil Producing Limited, oil production and exploration company. Belema Oil, truly indigenous, world-class brand. Azekel Group, oil and gas, dredging, power and air transportation. Azekel Group, petroleum product sufficiency, energy sustainability and infrastructure development.
The Nigerian Red Cross Society has applauded the efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari in reforming and promoting transparency in the operations of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. National President of the Red Cross Society, Elder Bolaji Anani, gave the commendation during a courtesy visit to the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, recently in Abuja. Correspondent Lovely Ofigo has details.
National President of the Nigerian Red Cross Society, Bolaji Anani, during a recent press briefing with Senator AKPABIO, observed that there was a paradigm shift in the management of NDDC, the flagship intervention agency in the Niger Delta under the presidency of Muhammadu Buhari.
We wish to commend you for entrenching transparency and accountability in your spheres of service. We in the Nigerian Red Cross Society, as in the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement globally, are incurable believers in transparency and accountability. We look, therefore, very much forward to a sustainable partnership with your establishment.
At the recent meeting with officials of the Niger Delta Ministry, the Nigerian Red Cross Society sought partnership with the ministry in disaster management, conflict prevention and peace building in the Niger Delta. Senator AKPABIO, who acknowledged the humanitarian activities of the Nigerian Red Cross Society across the country, promised his ministry would provide it with the logistical support it needs to operate in the Niger Delta.
We need the Red Cross Society in the Niger Delta region. We as a ministry will partner with you. We'll also talk with our parastatal, the NDDC, to also partner with you.
Senator AKPABIO observed that the COVID-19 pandemic had dealt a huge blow on the Nigerian economy, which was why the government of President Muhammadu Buhari decided to explore avenues to raise funds to finance critical projects in the country. He said the fuel subsidy removal was a major decision taken to improve the lots of Nigerians, including residents of the Niger Delta.
The decision to remove the fuel subsidy that was taking more than 2/3 of the annual budget of the country would now release money for infrastructural development in future. I will release money to create partnership with the international communities and, of course, the private sector to create employment opportunities for Nigerians.
The Honorable Minister of Niger Delta Affairs was optimistic that the partnership with the Nigerian Red Cross Society would further strengthen his ministry's mandate of reducing tension in the Niger Delta region.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Indications arrive that the recent public outrage over police brutality is far from over, as concerned citizens continue to organize peaceful protests across major cities in the Niger Delta and other parts of the country, demanding total reforms of the Nigerian police force. In this report, correspondent Chika Abodize takes a look at how a simple gadget as body cam can improve overall performance of law enforcement officers.
Following a sustained campaign to disband the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS unit of the Nigerian Police Force, Inspector General of Police Muhammad Adamu last week announced the establishment of a new Special Weapons and Tactics Team, SWAT, to replace a disbanded SARS. In discharging its constitutional responsibility of law enforcement, the newly established SWAT unit of the Nigerian Police Force, according to the police chief, will be involved in response to robbery attacks, rescue operations, and special operations involving high-profile crimes. Mr. Adamu's action has since generated more reactions from concerned citizens in the Niger Delta and other parts of the country. Their demand is complete reforms in the police force to promote more efficient policing of the country and protection of citizens' rights.
They're supposed to constitute panel, independent one who will go make sure they listen to victims and bring the brutal officers to book.
If we leave these people and they dissolve them into other units of the police, these people will come back 10 times deadlier. We need reforms.
In the ongoing nationwide campaign on police reforms, some victims of police brutality allegedly perpetrated by operatives of the disbanded SARS are demanding justice from the Nigerian authorities.
I have been extorted from twice. I was extorted from because I don't have anybody to talk to. I was raped by SARS last 2 years. We need action. Fish out all the officers that are responsible for all this killing. Fish them out. Prosecute them. Let them pay for their crimes.
Over the years, not much has been done to make the police and other law enforcement agencies accountable to the citizens. This has been a major challenge, begging for urgent attention in the country's criminal justice system. Perhaps the deployment of simple and affordable technologies will go a long way to make law enforcement agents more accountable to the citizens and the state, just as the Delta State government has done with the procurement of body cameras for its traffic management agency.
It is to protect the public from possible overzealous DESMA officers, because we know power corrupts. You know, people, once they wear uniform, they will think that they are now, all in all. So the first one is to protect the general public from overzealous DESMA officers. Second is to protect DESMA from frivolous accusations, because we've had series of frivolous accusations against DESMA.
President Muhammadu Buhari recently took a step to reform the police when he signed into law the Police Act Amendment Bill. The implication is that there is a law already in place to promote efficient policing of the country as well as protect citizens' rights. It, however, appears that more awareness on this existence of the Police Act 2020 is needed for its full implementation.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Well, that's the size of our program today. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. We'll be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. Until next week, I am Mamode Akugha, thanking you for staying with us. Bye for now.